Tonight is the night everything changes for you. Right now, in this moment, you stand at the edge of your old self and your new future. One night. That's all it takes to shift your entire life in a completely new direction. You don't need months or years, just one powerful night of clear decision, focused intention, and taking action can set in motion changes so profound that you'll look back and hardly recognize who you once were. I've seen it countless times. Regular people just like you who made one decision on one specific night that completely altered the course of their lives. They weren't special. They didn't have unique abilities. What they had was the willingness to say, tonight is the night, and mean it. What would happen if tonight you decided that enough was enough? What if tonight you drew a line in the sand and said, this is where the old me ends and the new me begins? Because that's exactly what transformation looks like. It happens in an instant, that moment of decision when you finally choose differently. Most people wait for something outside of them to change their life. They wait for the perfect opportunity, the right person, more money, or better circumstances. But transformation doesn't come from outside. It begins inside with a decision. And that decision can happen in a single night. Let me tell you something important about change. When you make a true decision, and I mean a real decision, something shifts inside you. A true decision means cutting off all other possibilities. The word decision comes from Latin meaning to cut off. When you truly decide, you cut off all other options. There's no plan B. There's no going back. There's just moving forward in your new direction. That's the power of one night. In one night, you can make a decision so strong that it sets your future on an entirely new path. In one night, you can create a vision so clear that your body begins to physically change in response to it. In one night, you can take the first action that starts a chain reaction of transformation. Think about those moments in your life when everything changed. Wasn't it often traced back to a single decision, a single moment, a single night when you said enough or yes or now? That's how change works, not gradually over time, but in quantum leaps that happen in an instant. Change doesn't require time. It requires decision. It requires clarity. It requires action, all of which can happen tonight. Most people are stuck in patterns they've been repeating for years. The same thoughts, creating the same feelings, leading to the same actions, producing the same results. Day after day, month after month, year after year. The definition of insanity is doing the same things while expecting different results. Your past is not your future unless you live there. The patterns of your past don't determine your future unless you continue to repeat them. And you can break those patterns tonight. Look at your life right now. What patterns have you been repeating? What thoughts have you been thinking over and over? What emotions have you been feeling day after day? What behaviors have you been repeating year after year? Those patterns have created your current reality. If you want a new reality, you need new patterns, new thoughts, new feelings, new actions. And creating those new patterns begins with a decision you can make tonight. Breaking free from old patterns isn't about forcing change through willpower. It's about getting so clear on what you want and why you want it that the old patterns naturally fall away. It's about creating a vision of your future so compelling that you're pulled toward it rather than pushing away from your past. And that clarity, that vision, that magnetic pull toward your future, it can all be created in one powerful night of focused intention. The future exists as a field of infinite possibilities. Every possible version of you exists in that field. The you who is healthy and vibrant, the you who is financially abundant, the you who is deeply connected in loving relationships, the you who is making a significant impact, the you who is living with purpose and joy. All of these versions of you already exist as possibilities. Your job isn't to create them from scratch. Your job is to select which version you want to experience and align your energy with that reality. This is where most people get stuck. They keep their attention on what is instead of what could be. They keep looking at their current circumstances, their current problems, their current limitations. And by keeping their attention on what is, they keep creating more of the same. And tonight, you can sit down and get so crystal clear on the future you want that you begin to feel the emotions of already living it. You can close your eyes and see it, feel it, taste it, touch it with such vivid detail that your body can't tell the difference between the experience and the imagination of the experience. And when you do this with enough focus, enough emotion, enough clarity, you begin to change on a cellular level. Your body begins to physically change in response to your mental rehearsal. This isn't magic. This is how your body and mind are designed to work together. Transformation happens in 4 specific stages. Understanding these stages helps you navigate the process of change more effectively. The first stage is awareness. You become aware of your current patterns, your automatic thoughts, your habitual emotions, your unconscious behaviors. You shine the light of awareness on what has been happening on autopilot. Without awareness, change is impossible. Tonight, you can become acutely aware of exactly what's been keeping you stuck. You can see with perfect clarity the thoughts you've been thinking, the story you've been telling, the emotions you've been feeling, and the actions you've been taking that have created your current reality. The second stage is interruption. Once you're aware of your patterns, you can interrupt them. You can catch yourself in the middle of an old thought and choose a new one. You can notice an old emotion arising and shift to a new one. You can stop an old behavior midstream and take a different action. Tonight, you can make the decision to interrupt your old patterns whenever they arise. You can draw a line in the sand and say, no more. From now on, I choose differently. The third stage is creation. After interrupting old patterns, you create new ones, new thoughts, new emotions, new behaviors, new choices. This isn't about forcing change through willpower. It's about consciously creating new neural pathways through repetition and emotion. Tonight, you can begin creating these new patterns. You can define exactly how you want to think, feel, and act moving forward. You can rehearse these new patterns mentally with such focus and emotion that they begin to feel natural. The fourth stage is reinforcement. New patterns need to be reinforced until they become your new normal. This happens through consistent practice, through celebrating small wins, through surrounding yourself with supportive environments and people. Tonight, you can put in place the structures and supports that will help reinforce your new patterns tomorrow and the next day and the next. You can set up reminders, create new routines, enlist support, design your environment, all to reinforce your transformation. These 4 stages, awareness, interruption, creation, and reinforcement, make up the process of transformation. And while reinforcement happens over time, the first 3 stages can happen tonight. You can become aware, interrupt old patterns, and begin creating new ones, all in a single night of focused intention. The biggest lie we've been told about change is that it takes a long time, that it's a gradual process of small steps over months or years. And while small steps are part of the journey, the decision to change happens in an instant. The shift in identity happens in an instant. The new direction is chosen in an instant. The key is consistency. Doing something small every day is far more powerful than doing something big once in a while, because consistent small actions build new neural pathways. They create new habits. They establish new patterns. And over time, these new patterns become your new normal. But it all begins with that first action. That first morning you wake up 15 minutes earlier. That first glass of water instead of coffee. That first pause to breathe before reacting. And the decision to take that first action that happens tonight. Tonight, you can decide on the small actions you'll take tomorrow. You can lay out your clothes for an early morning walk. You can put a glass of water by your bed for the morning. You can set a reminder on your phone to breathe before meetings. These small actions decided on tonight and taken consistently moving forward will create a compound effect that transforms your life over the coming weeks and months. But the decision that sets it all in motion, that happens tonight. Let me share a story with you. A few years ago, I worked with someone who had been struggling with their health for decades. They had tried every diet, every exercise program, every supplement, every approach to wellness you can imagine. And while they would see short-term results, they always ended up back where they started or worse. One night during an intensive workshop, something shifted for them. It wasn't that they learned some new information they hadn't heard before. It wasn't that they found some magic pill or perfect program. What changed was their relationship with themselves. For years, they had been trying to change their body out of frustration, out of self-criticism, out of a desire to fix what they saw as broken. But that night, they made a different decision. They decided to create health out of love, out of respect for their body, out of a genuine desire for wellness rather than a fear of illness. This shift might sound subtle, but it was profound. They went to sleep that night as a different person than when they woke up that morning. And when they woke up the next day, they took their first small action from this new place, a 5-minute walk outdoors, with no goal other than to enjoy the feeling of movement. The next day they did the same, and the next. Some days the walk was longer, some days it was shorter. Some days they added other activities, some days they didn't. But the consistent thread was that every action came from love rather than fear, from creation rather than correction. Over the following months, their body began to change. Their energy increased, their sleep improved, their weight normalized, their medical markers shifted toward optimal health. But more importantly, their relationship with their body transformed completely. They went from seeing their body as a problem to be fixed to seeing it as an amazing vehicle for experiencing life. And it all traced back to that one night when they made a different decision, when they chose to approach health from a completely new perspective. The change didn't take years. The decision happened in an instant on one specific night. The results unfolded over time, but the transformation began in that moment of decision. This story illustrates something important about transformation. The external changes, the visible results, take time to manifest, but the internal shift, the change in identity, the new decision, that happens in an instant. And that instant can be tonight. What would you like to transform? Your health, your relationships, your work, your finances, your contribution? Whatever area you choose, transformation follows the same pattern. It begins with a decision, clear, committed decision that cuts off all other possibilities. And that decision can happen tonight. Let me share with you some practical steps you can take tonight to ensure that tomorrow truly is the beginning of your transformation. First, create a sacred space and time. Turn off all distractions. Put away your phone. Find a quiet place where you won't be interrupted. Give yourself the gift of focused attention. This might mean waiting until everyone else is asleep or waking up before everyone else. Whatever works for you, create a container of time that's dedicated solely to your transformation. Second, get clear on what you want to change and why. Write it down. Be specific. What exactly do you want to transform? And more importantly, why? Why does this matter to you? Why now? What will your life look like when you've made this change? How will you feel? What will be possible then that isn't possible now? The clearer you are on what you want and why you want it, the more powerful your decision will be. Vague desires lead to vague results. Crystal clear desires lead to crystal clear results. Third, identify the patterns that have kept you stuck. What thoughts have you been thinking about this area of your life? What emotions have you been feeling? What actions have you been taking or not taking? What beliefs have been driving these patterns? Write all of this down. Get it out of your head and onto paper where you can see it clearly. These patterns have been creating your current reality, and recognizing them is the first step to changing them. Fourth, design new patterns. What new thoughts would serve you better? What new emotions would you like to feel consistently? What new actions would create different results? What new beliefs would support your transformation? Again, write these down. Be specific. These new patterns will become your new blueprint for living. They'll guide your thinking, your feeling, and your actions moving forward. Fifth, create a physical anchor for your decision, something tangible that represents your commitment to change. This could be signing a contract with yourself. It could be burning a piece of paper with your old patterns written on it. It could be placing a symbolic object somewhere you'll see it every day. This physical anchor helps make your decision real. It takes it out of the realm of thought and into the physical world. It becomes a reminder and a reinforcement of your commitment. Sixth, design your first small action. What one small thing will you do differently tomorrow? Make it so small that it feels almost too easy. The goal here isn't to make a massive change overnight. The goal is to take the first step in a new direction, a step so small you can't possibly fail. Seventh, set up systems to reinforce your decision. What reminders will you put in place? What environmental changes will support your new patterns? What accountability structures will help you stay on track? Think about what has derailed your previous attempts at change and put supports in place specifically designed to address those challenges. Set yourself up for success by designing your environment to reinforce your transformation. And finally, mentally rehearse your new reality. Close your eyes and see yourself living as if your transformation has already happened. See yourself thinking your new thoughts, feeling your new emotions, taking your new actions. Make this mental movie as vivid and detailed as possible. Add color, sound, physical sensations. Make it so real that your body begins to respond as if it's actually happening. This mental rehearsal is powerful because your body can't tell the difference between an actual experience and one that's vividly imagined with emotion. By rehearsing your new reality mentally, you begin priming your body for change. These 8 steps, taken together and completed in a single night, can set in motion a transformation that will unfold over the coming days, weeks, and months. But the decision, the commitment, the new direction, that all happens tonight. As you embark on this journey of transformation, you'll encounter obstacles and resistance. This is natural and expected. In fact, if you don't encounter resistance, you're probably not making a big enough change. Resistance shows up in many forms. Sometimes it comes as doubt, questioning whether change is really possible for you. Sometimes it comes as fear of failure, fear of success, fear of the unknown. Sometimes it comes as distraction, suddenly finding other things that seem more urgent or important. Sometimes it comes as rationalization, finding logical reasons why now isn't the right time. All of these forms of resistance are normal. They're part of the process of change. The key is to recognize resistance when it appears and to have strategies ready to move through it. When doubt arises, remind yourself of times you've successfully changed in the past. Everyone has examples of things they've learned, habits they've developed, challenges they've overcome. These are evidence of your ability to change. When fear appears, acknowledge it without being controlled by it. Fear is just energy in your body. You can feel it without letting it make your decisions. Thank the fear for trying to protect you, then gently move forward anyway. When distraction tempts you, reconnect with your why. Remind yourself why this transformation matters to you. What's at stake if nothing changes? What becomes possible when you follow through? When rationalization tries to delay your change, recognize it as resistance in disguise. There will never be a perfect time to change. There will always be reasons to wait. Deciding that now is the time, despite all the reasons why it might not be ideal, that's what commitment looks like. The truth is, resistance never completely goes away. Even those who have mastered the art of personal transformation still encounter resistance. The difference is that they expect it, they recognize it, and they have strategies to move through it rather than being stopped by it. Tonight, as you commit to your transformation, also commit to recognizing and moving through resistance when it appears. Make this part of your decision, not just to change, but to persist through the natural obstacles that arise during change. Because here's what happens when you push through resistance.